Hey, sweet friends, welcome to my first exclusive members only video. It's exciting to start offering exclusive content to you guys. So definitely let me know if there's anything that you would like to see me do in the future. But to start, I thought I would just talk to you guys today about my experience with the Food Network's Christmas Cookie Challenge. So on my DMs in Instagram last January, so January of 2021, it was right at the end of the month, I had a casting director from the Food Network's Christmas Cookie Challenge contact me and ask me if I would be interested in applying for the show. And honestly, as soon as I got the message, I was like, is this legit? I mean, I figured we're all scammed, right? It went to my message request. It didn't even come directly to me. I saw it several days after she had sent it. I thought, I'm not sure. So I went and Googled her name. And sure enough, I found her LinkedIn profile, and she did work for Sonic Dog, which, if you've ever watched the Christmas Cookie Challenge episodes, at the very end, when the credits roll, Sonic Dog is listed. And so now I know, I didn't know it when I watched the show, but now I know that that is the casting company for the show. And they are located in California, not far at all from where the studio is that they shoot the show. So once I found out she was legit, I did respond back to her on Instagram. And she wanted more pictures. She wanted to see if I had any sort of experience with structural designs, and then just more pictures of my most current work. So at that time, it was in January. So I had done Christmas cookie boxes. They were like little sprinkle boxes. I can put it up on the screen so that y'all can see. And so that was the only 3D structural cookie that I had ever done. So I did send her that picture. And then I'm always so behind on Instagram. There are still so many sets that I have never posted pictures of. And so I did send 10 pictures of the most current sets that I had made. And after that, she responded, and I can't really remember the time frame, but it happened pretty quickly. Our conversations went back and forth pretty quickly. And she said, hey, this looks great. Would you be interested in going to the next step and us having a phone interview? Of course, I'm nervous. I have no idea what to do. But of course, I'm like, yeah, sure. Just let me know whenever that would be a good time for you. My husband works from home, so I can make any time work. You just let me know. And the next thing I know, she messaged me back and was like, hey, how about tomorrow at lunchtime? I was like, yes, sure. But in my head, I'm freaking out. I'm I have a day to prepare to kind of think about what she might ask. Basically, I wanted to approach it like you would a real interview for a job. So I literally wrote out my notes, and I wish I still had them. I didn't have my laptop at that time, and so I don't know where my notes are. But I wrote out just responses that I thought she might ask. I figured she'd ask my cookie journey, so I wanted to make sure I had journaled that out, so I had my thoughts straight on that. I thought she might ask, what makes you different from other people? Why should you be on the show? Why would you want to be on the show? Things like that. And so I journaled out all of that, and I just kind of read through it several times the next morning before my phone call interview with her, just so it would be fresh in my mind and try to help the nerves a little bit. So the time comes and she gives me a call, and she is the nicest human, and she was so friendly, and she definitely helped to put me at ease. But honestly, there are still questions that I definitely think I would have answered differently looking back. For instance, one of the questions that she asked was, what would you do if you won? What would you do with money? I'm pretty sure I said I would put some back into the business, and then we'd probably take a vacation. And she said, that's good to hear. I don't like it when people don't, she said something along the lines of, I always feel like people aren't being truthful if they say they don't use it for something fun. So I think in that question, I probably would word it a little bit differently and make sure my answer was a little bit not as cookie cutter. And honestly, I think I would say that about my entire interview with her. Was just, they're looking for personality, which at that time, I did nothing like this. I wasn't used to talking about myself at all in my business. And I had no confidence in that. I still struggle with imposter syndrome like nobody's business. I don't feel like I belong on Instagram. I don't feel like I'm good enough to have a YouTube. I definitely don't feel like anybody should be signing up for my memberships, because I just always struggle with, there are so many better cookiers out there. Who am I? And I really, really had that kind of mentality being interviewed for Christmas Cookie Challenge on Food Network. Who am I to be given this opportunity, right? So I think I didn't have enough confidence in my interview, and I don't think my real personality showed through just because I was so worried about answering correctly. I tend to err on the side of always being warm. I like for people to feel comfortable when they talk to me. And because of that, sometimes I tone down myself. And so I definitely think that if I ever get this opportunity again, I will try to exert a little bit more of who I really am and my personality into the interview if I can. And my family knew I was doing the Christmas Cookie Challenge interview. They knew that I had been contacted. They were all celebrating with me. And so after the interview, I actually recorded a video and I sent it to them because it was just easier to update them all at one time. So I recorded a video, sent it to them, and I'm going to play that here just so that you can get my thoughts and how I felt immediately after that interview. Okay, interview's over. I thought I would send a video because I'm updating both families, and so it's just faster to do one time. It went really well, I think. They're emailing me the next steps, and so I guess I've passed the interview part, at least the preliminary interview, and so now I have to do I have to make Christmas cookies and I have to do some sort of structural cookie. So I went back and watched a few of the episodes of the Christmas Cookie Challenge last night, and most episodes have some sort of like 3D cookie structure. And so I think that's what they're testing to make sure I can do that before I even get on the show. So I have until the end of next week to submit my pictures, but like this has literally got to be my best work. So and I have to be creative and try to think of outside the box and not do something that other contestants or other potential people would submit. So it's going to be interesting. But the interview itself went really well. She was very friendly, very professional. She asked me quite a few questions. Like some of them were just the standard, like, would I be available for a whole week in April? Because she said between filming and travel, it's about a week long process. And then she asked, what are all the things they asked? It was just some really random things and some like get to know you things. Like she asked about my cookie background. She asked what would be considered like Rachel's technique or like signature thing. I don't know, like half the questions I had no idea. It's like, I don't know what my signature thing is. I don't know. Like she asked, what techniques are like my favorite techniques. I'm like, I don't know. I just do cookies. Like, I don't know what my favorite technique is. I do all sorts. Anyway, but I think I was able to answer well enough. I don't know. She asked like my like background in life and my like story, I guess. And she asked, what made me unique? Again, I have no idea what makes me unique. Like, I don't know. I don't feel like I'm that different than anybody else. I have no idea. She asked about like Christmas traditions and what our Christmas looked like here. I think they were just a lot of questions just to kind of get to know personality wise. And so, and then what was the other thing? She did ask if I would be okay without my projector, which y'all, I don't know if you know that I use or not, but I use this projector that projects onto my cookies. And so then I'm able to write like pretty and do characters and things like that with a projector. And so they don't have those on the show. They're not allowed. And so she asked if I would be okay without that. She asked if I would be okay with the time restraints because they have to like bake, ice, and do whatever the challenge is in like 90 minutes the first time and like 2 hours the second time, which is crazy intense. And I would have to definitely practice to do that. But of course I was like, sure. What was the other thing? She asked what I would do with the prize money. I said we would put some back in the business. We'd go on vacation and I don't know, we'd put the rest in savings or something. I don't know. And said it'll be fun just to have the option. I kind of wrote down some of the things, but I think that's like, she asked maybe a couple more things, but I think that was the majority of them. But it went really well. Like she said twice, she was always looking for truthful and she appreciated that I was being truthful about things. And so, I think that was good. I just tried to be myself. It's like I told Jonathan, like, I don't want to be anything other than myself. So if they don't like me, they don't like me, and that's fine. So anyhow, we're on to step 2, phase 2, which is figuring out whatever Christmas cookie design I'm going to do and some sort of 3D cookie, which I have no idea. So, like on the show, they've made ornaments, they've made boxes, they've made Christmas trees, they've made stars, like they've made, and I don't want to do anything that's been on the show. So, will be interesting. Okay. Just want to give y'all an update. We're on to phase 2. So when I hung up that phone call with her, I knew I had an assignment. I asked, what are the next steps? And she said, hey, you've got to get me some structural designs, and I need 10 of your best pictures. So I wanted to make sure that I included pictures that were well-rounded, all different categories, all different types of cookies and themes I had done. Nothing copyrighted, but I did make sure that I tried to show different techniques in those 10 pictures and also the structural designs. So my interview with the casting director was actually on a Friday, so I had until the next Friday to submit my work to her, which meant I pondered and I researched all weekend long. I gave myself the weekend just to research and make a plan. And part of that research was trying to figure out how to do structural designs, something I had never done before, ever. Like, I had never really done that before. Those Christmas boxes don't count. They did a little bit, but they were not anything like I was being asked to do. We pretty much cleared our entire weekend, and I watched Julia Usher on YouTube. And if you don't know who that is, she does really, really intricate designs that are mostly 3D structures. And let me tell you, she puts these really long tutorials out there. So even watching them at 2 times, it took up a lot of my time that weekend, but I learned so much. And I thought, okay, if I follow her steps, I can do this. But I didn't want to just put out exactly what she had already done, right? To me, this is about seeing my creativity and what I can do, not something that Julia Usher did. But I still wanted to use her techniques. And so that is why I came up with a plan to make 3D coffee cups or cocoa cups, Christmas themed, and then also to do a room in a house and decorate it in Christmas, and then have a Christmas tree, a 3D Christmas tree cookie in the center. And I wanted to do one more Christmas sugar cookie set, because I didn't take Christmas cookie orders that year. The year before, I was slammed and really cut into my time with my family, which meant, though, that I hadn't had any current Christmas cookies other than those sprinkle boxes I had made for my nephews. I hadn't had any current Christmas cookies since the year before. So I decided that was going to be my plan. Thank goodness I didn't have any orders that week, or else I would have been up a creek without a paddle. So I was able to completely focus on these things that I was going to create. Now, I also had not made fresh gingerbread before, which I knew I would need for my structural pieces. So once again, I used Julia Usher's recipe, which she had for free on her website. Thank goodness. And so I used her recipe, and it really is a great recipe. So if you need a gingerbread recipe for structural pieces, it's a pretty good recipe. So I highly recommend it. And I made that recipe on Sunday night. And then Monday morning, I was ready to go. And I'm going to be honest with you, I learned a whole lot. I learned a lot about what not to do. It was just so much new stuff. Had never used gingerbread before. I had never shaped into actual shapes gingerbread. I had never used isomalt, which I ended up using as the liquid in my coffee cups. So I had liquid inside the cups. And then also I wanted to have windows in my walls in the little Christmas decorated room. And so altogether, I just had so much learning to do and things that I had never done before. And so it was a very interesting week. I am really proud of the product that I put out there because, again, this was all new, but there are things that now I would do differently. But I had the time crunch, and at the end of the day, I just had to keep moving forward. And so it didn't much matter if it was as perfect as I wanted it to be or felt like it should be. I just kept moving forward and tried to do the best I could and send out those pictures by Friday. And that included scrapping an entire day. So Monday, I started working. I did my best to make these coffee cups. And let me tell you, it just didn't work. What I tried to do just didn't work. So I'll input that video here. Okay, friends. Sometimes you try and try and try something new and it just is a daggum fail. And that was my day today. I tried to make these 3D hot chocolate cups work the way I was doing them. And truthfully, it just did not work. So here it is. It's almost 7 o'clock at night and I started my day at 6 o'clock this morning and I am scrapping my whole day. And we're just going to start over. So before I start over completely, I wanted to show you guys what failed and why I'm starting over. So when I did my cookies for the day, I made my bottom and then I made my ring to go on top to give my cup some height. But the problem is, I don't know if you can tell very well, but it's a shallow bowl. And so my little handle I made does not at all work for this cup. I have tried turning it this way to try to give it a little bit more height. Then I was just going to cover up the gap with, I was going to connect them and then cover the gap with some decorations of some sort. But no matter which way you turn it, if it's this way or if it's this way, it's just too small. So I even thought about, okay, well, I messed up on the dough the first time that I told you guys about. It made it too thick. Well, I went ahead and iced that one. And I thought, oh, maybe I can make an ornament. Like I can make something else out of these shapes. But as you can see, it just kind of looks like an egg or a shell. It's just too shallow. So I tried to fix it in many ways and nothing worked. So I went back to baking and I made new cups. And this time, and I'll show you, I'm actually going to add some footage tomorrow morning. I'll shoot how I did this. But this time my cup is the bottom part of my cup is a lot deeper. And I mean, let's compare. It's like almost half. My original one is about half the size. So this round is much, much better. So I went ahead and made my toppers. And then now when you compare it, the mug, the handle for your mug is actually proportional to my cup. So we're going to go with this. I did make new ones. I have 3 new toppers, 3 new cups. So I don't know for sure if I'm going to go this way or this way, but I'm figuring, I think I'm just going to do a nice round mug, kind of like a round Starbucks mug or something along those lines. So this is what I'm going with. I'm going to get my isomalt in it so that it looks like hot chocolate in here. I'm going to ice them tonight and hopefully I still have time to get the decorations on tonight, but it's going to be a long night. But I'm grateful that I persisted. I figured out what I did wrong, but it was the cost of an entire day of work and a lot of dough and a lot of icing and just a lot of time, but that's okay. I figured it out. It's a learning process. And so I'm grateful I persevered and now I'm excited about the possibilities. So here we go again. And I think you can see I'm tired. It's just day 1 and I ended up pulling really late nights for the first few nights. So when I planned out my week, I decided to do the hardest things first and work my way to the easiest because I knew by the end of the week I was going to be emotionally drained, exhausted, physically, mentally. And so I wanted to do the hardest thing first, which to me would have been the coffee cups because that's like an actual sphere, you know? And so I thought, okay, that's probably going to be the hardest. I'm going to start with that first. And then I moved on to the gingerbread house because I thought, okay, well, that's more doable. I think I can handle that because it's walls and a floor. And then the tree was shaped, but it wasn't as big of a grand scale as the coffee cups. And then I was like, the last thing I'm going to do is those Christmas cookies because sugar cookies are my jam. So I definitely know how to do those. So I waited until the end of the week to do those. And then I spent quite a bit of time on Thursday afternoon taking pictures and video of my final products. Thursday evening, I edited to where I felt like they looked good. I had my family help me pick the pictures of all the other cookies that I needed to send. And then I sent them off Friday morning, and she had like a special website, I cannot remember the name of it, but it was like a transfer file website for free. So I was able to send them that way so that she didn't lose any quality and she didn't have to worry probably about viruses or anything being sent as well. And I do have to say, after the initial contact on Instagram, we did switch to email and we communicated via email after the phone call interview. The casting director did confirm that she received my files, and then she said she was pleased, they looked great, and that she would be sending them off to the producers. They were still in the interview process. They were still accepting work from other cookiers. So she told me by the end of February, I will know something. If I don't hear anything, then that's a no for this year. And I didn't hear anything. So while I did not make the show, and that was a major disappointment, and I hated letting my family down, my kids were so excited. We were constantly watching the Christmas Cookie Challenge in the meantime because I knew that filming was in April or March, and I had to do my research now because I didn't know how much time in advance they were going to give me. So in that waiting time, we were constantly watching the shows. We were making notes while we watched the show. Jonathan would throw something at me and say, "What would you do if this was your challenge?" And so I was constantly thinking about it. So in the end, when I didn't get contacted, yeah, it was a little disappointing. But again, I am just so grateful for the opportunity. It pushed me out of my comfort zone. It made me try all these new techniques and things I have never done before. It made me think about cookies in a whole new way. It got me excited to try new techniques and things that I never would have before. And honestly, it pushed me to start my YouTube page. So I'm forever grateful for that opportunity. And if they asked me to do it again, to audition again, I would say yes, because it is such an honor. And even though I may not ever get a chance again, I am still proud of what I presented. And yeah, I would do it again. And I think that if you get the chance, you should do it too. So if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for being my favorite people ever and supporting me in this really cool way. You really are amazing. I'll see you soon, sweet friends. Bye-bye.